Today we're going to talk about changing the thermostat. The thermostat is used to allow the engine to warm up to operating temperature faster. Once the engine is warm enough, the thermostat will allow the coolant to flow into the radiator. If the thermostat becomes stuck closed, there will be no flow to the radiator and the engine will overheat. In my case, a faulty thermostat manifested as so. I would start the car cold and there would be no issues. After the car warmed up, I would hear a very loud fan noise when I accelerated, as the radiator fan was attempting to cool the slowly overheating engine. The oil temperature gauge will show a normal temp over a pretty wide range of temperatures, and so it looked normal even though it was overheating. After a few minutes, the oil temperature would get hot enough that the gauge would actually creep up to the high mark, and I had to shut the engine off to allow the car to cool. This video will show you how to replace the thermostat in a Range Rover Sport or LR3. A complete list of parts and tools will be in the description of the video. Alright, let's get started. First, inspect your new thermostat. The thermostat should be seated in the housing like so. It should also come with a new O-ring. Looking near the fan, you should see the thermostat housing. The thermostat is actually very simple to remove. There are 3 hoses to remove, and 3 screws to remove. You should wait until the engine has cooled for this job so you don't burn yourself on the hot coolant. In addition, it's likely that the coolant will spill from the hoses, so place a catch pan underneath the vehicle. First, the hoses. I'm using slip joint pliers for the hose clamps. Remove the upper hose clamp and the hose, then remove the radiator return hose clamp and hose. Loosen the lower hose clamp, but I would wait to remove it after the screws are removed so you have more wiggle room. Next, remove the 3 screws holding the thermostat in place. Now that it's loose, you can wiggle it off the lower hose. Don't forget to also remove the old O-ring. On inspection of the thermostat, it appeared that a piece of it had broken off, allowing the thermostat to set at an angle, impairing its function. If the thermostat accidentally comes free of the housing, this is how to reassemble it. Place the small metal cap into the housing, followed by the plunger, then the large spring. You'll need to press down on the thermostat and twist it for it to seat into the plastic housing. For reinstallation, I will spray the new thermostat with silicone spray so it's easier to install the radiator hoses. Don't forget to install the new O-ring before the thermostat. Lay the thermostat in place. At this point, I reinstalled the lower hose because it's easier to access. Next, I fastened the 3 screws. These screws are tightening into plastic, so be careful not to apply too much torque. If you want to make your life easier, I would fill the radiator return hose with coolant if it isn't already full. This way it's easier to bleed the air from the system later. Once done, reattach the radiator return hose and the upper hose. Adjust the clamps so they are back in place. Once everything is all back together, refill the car with coolant. It's not necessary to mess with the T-bleeder screw or the reservoir bleeder. Just leave the cap off the reservoir, fill it to the high mark, then while keeping the cap off, start the car and let it warm up. Once the engine reaches operating temperature, the thermostat should open and suck some coolant into the radiator. Once this happens, turn the car off. Return to the reservoir and fill it with coolant if it dropped. At this point, you can replace the coolant reservoir cap. You may want to intermittently check the coolant level over the next few days and make sure it's steady and top it up if needed. And that's it. The thermostat is a very common failure point in many vehicles that leads to overheating. If your car starts to overheat, it's very likely either low coolant from a leak or a faulty thermostat. The thermostat is extremely cheap and easy to fix. So if this is the problem, you can save yourself a lot of time and money doing the repair yourself. Please leave a comment if you have any questions regarding the procedure. I make Range Rover Sport and LR3 repair videos as issues pop up. So don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any simple fixes that could save you thousands over taking it to the dealer. Thanks and have a good one.